This video is about the astrological energies of the full moon in Scorpio. Everything you need to know, how to guide yourself through these energies, and also what to expect. Welcome everyone. I am Michelle. I am the Oracle of the Central Sun. This channel is about astrology, tarot, and general spiritual guidance. So we have a full moon coming up in Scorpio. This is happening for most of us on the 1st of May, but depending on your time zone, it may be happening for you on the 2nd of May. And where I'm at in South Africa, this full moon is happening on the 1st of May at 19:24 in the evening. It is happening at 11 degrees and 21 minutes of Scorpio. So we always hear about the intensity of the sign of Scorpio. And yes, this can be true, but there are also so many beautiful things about Scorpio. The loyalty, the beautiful heart-centered energy, and that sense of wanting to understand ourselves and others. So there can be a lot of beauty in the intensity as well. So with the full moon in Scorpio, like I said, it is around working with our emotional depth. And for some people, this can be quite intense depending on your own chart placements. The moon in Scorpio can be very mysterious, and often when there is a full moon in Scorpio, there's a sense of mysterious things and unknown things coming to light for us to understand. The moon in Scorpio is very prone to spiritual, esoteric things and the general mysteries of life. It is around hidden aspects, and maybe those parts of our lives that we hold so close to our hearts and our spirits, we don't like to share them with other people. There is a sense with a full moon in Scorpio that whether we are open to it or whether it happens reluctantly, there's a real opening for transformation and release. So the transformation, release, is really where I see this full moon going. And for reaching new depths within ourselves and understanding ourselves in terms of the mystery of life and our own spirituality in new and deeper and interesting ways. So I drew a card for the energy of this full moon in Scorpio, all the astrological energies that we are dealing with at this time. And I received a really beautiful card, the Ace of Cups. And cup energies are related to water, which is related to our emotional life. So this moon truly is about emotional and spiritual renewal for both of us. This moon really is about emotional and spiritual renewal for all of us. So there can be such a sense of a gift coming to us at the time of this full moon. A real transformation, old patterns being released, and just a sense of receiving grace from the universe. This really is in this Ace of Cups, and something that we can really work with at this time, being open to emotional and spiritual renewal. And yes, there may be some uncomfortable parts of this full moon, as you'll see as I go along, but ultimately this beautiful energy of fresh starts, new cycles, grace and love, emotional and spiritual renewal from the universe, is what this is all about. So with this moon in Scorpio, as with all full moons, there's always an opposition between the moon and the sun. So the sun is opposite the moon at the time of this full moon at 11 degrees of Taurus. Now, with the sun in Taurus, the sun is really shining a light for us onto the moon in terms of all those Taurian things, where we feel grounded, our creativity, our resources. And this can really bring to light those things with the moon in Scorpio that we may need to release and that are ready to be transformed. So for this sun in Taurus opposite the moon, I received the World card. And again, like the Ace of Cups, this is such a beautiful card for this full moon, as it is about completion of cycles. And with all four of the elements in this card, it's always a lovely card in terms of bringing a sense of wholeness, bringing a sense of celebration for cycles ending and new cycles starting. Then the ruler of this full moon in Hellenistic astrology is Mars. And Mars is sitting at the moment at 16 degrees of Aries. Now, if you have been looking at some of my previous videos, there's been for a couple of months now a deep focus in the sign of Aries for all of us. Now, the Aries energy is all about our individuation, how we want to individually take action, harness the energy in our lives in terms of who we want to be as individuals. And with the energies in Aries also sextiling Pluto, this is all about how we bring our unique individual selves into the collective and how we work with these energies. So with Mars being in Aries, so in ancient astrology, Mars rules Scorpio and Aries. So Mars is obviously very comfortable in Aries. It's a sign that he rules, and it is a place that is much faster than Mars feels in Scorpio. It is a place of action, of things moving swiftly, and Mars is really bringing a very strong sense of himself at the time of this full moon. So all things related to Mars that we can work with at this time is taking action, really being aware of how to assert ourselves in really good ways. And yes, this is going to take some energy and some time to contemplate where to place our action going forward. But Mars really can bring such good energies at the time of this full moon. Of course, with Mars on the shadow side, there's always a sense of there may be some conflict, but this will be in order for us to grow. And if you are going through conflict at this time, just try and work with it in the best way you can possible. So Mars is sitting in Aries at this time where he feels really strong, very assertive, ready to take action, ready to really work with that uniqueness of who we all are. And also in Aries, we have Neptune, we have Saturn, we have Mercury, and we have Chiron. So this cluster is still happening in Aries, where there is so much focus and so much transformation can happen at this time in terms of our own individuation. Now, the card that I received for all of these energies in Aries is the Empress. And this is very interesting because the Empress is usually associated with the card or with the planet Venus. So the Empress at this time, I feel, shows up because all of the planets that are traveling through Aries, they've all made recent conjunctions to Neptune. And all of those new cycles starting with Neptune has brought us into new understanding of oneness, of love, really of new cosmic views and perceptions and experiences that we are going through. So I feel this Empress card for the stellium of all the planets that are sitting in Aries with Mars. This is all about our emotional growth, emotional stability, and really connecting to our unique creativity at this time. So also a really lovely card that showed up for this. So what is occurring with Mars, the ruler, at the time of this full moon is that Mars at 16, almost 17 degrees of Aries is building up to a square with Jupiter in Cancer. Now, these energies are interesting because Jupiter has recently turned direct, and Jupiter is all about our belief systems, our view of the world. And a lot would have been transformed for each of us in terms of how we view the world now after this Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. So with this Mars now squaring Jupiter in Cancer, there's a sense here of there may be still some hard edges of how we now bring together, how we take action, who we want to be as an individual with those belief systems and views of the world and our general philosophy of life that could have shifted. So at this time, there may be some tension because you could very well feel like you want to move forward in a certain way and you want to individuate in a certain way. And yet you now have to combine that with how your views, your belief systems have shifted, and maybe wisdom that you have gained over recent months that is now calling you to really act in a different way with Mars. So the card that showed up for this Mars squaring Jupiter is the Nine of Swords. Now, bearing in mind that a square energy is always a point of some tension and conflict, this feels very much like that internal conflict we are going through around things that I've just spoken to. It is maybe a sense of anxiety, maybe a sense of overwhelm, of not knowing exactly how to use our new belief systems and life philosophies and how to bring that into our individual action. There may be some anxiety as to the fact that the world is changing very fast right now. Everything is very fast moving. There's a lot of energy in the sign of Aries and so many new cycles starting. So this card shows up when there is some anxiety, where there are some sleepless nights, where there are some things that could be going around in our minds in terms of the swords being an air element, a very busy mind energy. So with this card showing up, really look after yourselves, at this time. Find ways to ground, find ways to work with the very busy mind energy, because we're also now dealing with a very busy mind energy, with Uranus recently having moved into the sign of Gemini. I really think that we are all being called to find new ways of dealing with our mental health, and find new ways to spend away from technology and really ground ourselves in more natural and physical body-based activities, in order to come back to that sense of mental health. So please look after yourself mentally at this time, because with this Mars squaring Jupiter, there really can be some tension in the air at this time. Now, a strong aspect that is happening at the time of this full moon is Venus, which also recently went through a conjunction and started a new cycle with Uranus, is now at 9 degrees of Gemini, and she is sextiling Saturn. Now, the card that showed up for this, so bearing in mind, Venus is all about love. It's about creativity. It's about our values. It's about how we connect to others. And Saturn is very much a slow energy. It's about wisdom. It can be about negating things, saying no to what needs to be said no to. It can be an energy of slowing things down. Seeing that this is a sextile, it is a more flowing aspect. So I really see a lot of wisdom that can arise through this Venus sextiling Saturn at this time. So what showed up for this is the Devil card. And the Devil card often shows up where there is a place in our lives that may feel to us like we are in bondage, or we are being held by something that we feel we need to escape in some way. And for me at this time, in terms of Venus, our values, in terms of Saturn, what to say no to, and finding wisdom, you may need to ask yourselves, which of the values that you currently hold in your life do you actually feel held hostage by? And which of the values feel like they constrain you instead of setting you free? Often when this card shows up, one of the symbologies in this card is the fact that the chains are actually quite loose around their necks. So the symbology is we can always free ourselves. So which sense of values in terms of how you see love, creativity, money, can you actually let go and step into something new and free yourself and move into a new sense with at this time? And then we also have a building sextile between Pluto and Neptune and Uranus. Now, these two sextiles are going to be with us long term. They're still going to be with us into the middle of 2027 and beyond. And they're going to be exact a couple of times. So this is quite a long-term energy that we are working with. And these outer planets, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, they are bringing a very, very deep transformation to us individually and also to the collective on this planet. So the fact that these are sextiles, they are bringing us something flowing and harmonious that we can work with long term in order to transform ourselves. This will transform our values, our spirituality, our sense of awakening, our sense of intuition, how we communicate, all of these things are being completely transformed at this time by these 3 planets. Now, the card that showed up for this Pluto sextile Neptune sextile Uranus is the King of Swords. And this is, to me, very much an energy of stepping into our own authority. So this card is very much related to wisdom. It may be related to those themes and values that we need to let go of in order to step into wisdom. And this card is very much about clarity. So bearing in mind that this is a long-term aspect that we are working with, and over time it's going to bring us into more of our own inner sense of authority and clarity and wisdom. So these are all amazing energies that we can work with at the time of this full moon. And then lastly, I want to share with you the Ching guidance that came up for this full moon. So there's actually 2 hexagrams. So the first one had a changing line, and I'm reading from the Little Book of Changes by Peter Crisp. So the first guidance for this full moon is holding on to greatness. You can draw on the ancient wisdom teachings to strengthen your character. And this to me is really around what I've spoken to before in terms of, I'm not a person to negate technology or make it evil or wrong. I am very open to walking into things with discernment and balance, and using technology with discernment and balance. And yet I believe that in order to do that, we need to stay grounded to our bodies, connected to nature, have balanced time where we are without technology, where we are connecting to other humans. And if you don't like other humans, connect to your pets, connect to love, to nature, to animals. These are the things that we are being called to at this time. Heaven in the mountain, hidden treasures revealed, the wisdom of the past made available to you today. So the wisdom of the past to me is really, all the ancient wisdom traditions spoke about unity, about complete spiritual unity, and all of the things that we do to attain that, the yoga that we do, the meditation that we do, the breath work that we do. These are all the ancient things that we can call on at this time. Your success is so close, you can taste it. All the energy building up inside is about to be released. And the energy building for me is a sense of that high intense energy that we can feel with a full moon in Scorpio. Get ready for the ride of your life. Hold fast to what you know to be true. Hold back until the time is just right. Hold on to your dreams as they turn into reality. So there's so much wisdom in this hexagram because it's guiding us to connect to ancient wisdom, traditions and practices. And then it is also speaking about a new cycle starting, which we really received in those 2 cards, the Ace of Cups and the World. And then there was a changing line in the 5th line, which to me is very much about that energy that we feel between Mars and Jupiter, with that Mars-Jupiter square. Because Mars can, on the shadow side, be that aggression and tension, And Jupiter can sometimes expand that and exaggerate that. So the wisdom of this changing line is, by not overreacting, you diminish the power of dissension. By remaining calm, you can diffuse the tension that agitated people tend to create. So this is all about guidance to remain calm, to diffuse tension. And this may not be easy with this Mars square to Jupiter, because Jupiter does tend to intensify all the energies and expand all the energies that it comes into aspect with. So this, I find, is the most tricky part of this full moon energy that we need to deal with. And we can work with this Mars square Jupiter energy by working with that spiritual warrior energy, by really working with how we take action and not overreacting to aggression and to other people who may be very agitated at this time. So this changing line, change the hexagram to hexagram number 9. And this is lovely for this, lovely guidance for this full moon in Scorpio. Number 9 is gently does it. Like a gentle breeze on a hot summer's day, your influence is subtle yet most welcome. So this is guiding us to really use that intensity of Mars in Aries, and that is even being expanded by the square to Jupiter, and find a grounding to bring this in a very gentle way. You, like a beautiful day, gentle breezes are blowing, exquisite clouds adorn a brilliant blue sky. The gentle art of persuasion in the eyes of others, you are what you appear to be. Invest the time and effort both in your appearance and how you express yourself. Only remember, clouds are not merely ornamental. They serve a vital purpose, the delivery of rain. So this is lovely. This is guiding us to work on how we express ourselves. Maybe really find grounding in terms of the intense energies that can be with us at the time of this full moon. How we express ourselves really matters at this time. And also in terms of the analogy of the cloud, you know, sometimes something can appear to be negative or bring attention into our lives. But the cloud is there to also deliver the rain. And without the rain, we don't have plants and we don't have growth. So whatever shows up as a point of tension at this time, also know that it is there to help us grow and to nourish us going forward. So this does feel like quite an intense full moon. And yet it feels so transformational. There's a lot that can be transformed at this time. There's a lot that we can work with in terms of our values, our belief systems. And of course, whichever house this falls in for you personally, there can be a lot coming to light at this time, and you can experience a lot of transformation. Thank you so much for being here. Please connect to my services. All the links are below. I offer personal sessions, and my monthly Moon Wisdom Lab is running again from the middle of May. Please join that. It is a lovely month-long journey where you connect to the moon phases and you also receive personal guidance for every moon phase, and it all happens in a beautiful group setting. So work with the energies of this full moon. I really hope that it brings you growth and beauty and transformation, and I will see you again soon.